Hey, what's up, everybody? Christian Brindle here, and I am back with somebody doing big time things in our space in the Medicare slash senior insurance sales space. I'm joined here with Joe of MedicareAgentsHub.com. Really, really cool service that they providing you guys that's really kind of broken onto the scene. I mean, they've been doing the service for a number of years now, but we're really starting to kind of see them just break through and hearing about them more and more, hearing agents talk about them more and more. And, we're utilizing the sites. We have leads coming in from them. And yeah, I mean, it's been really cool to kind of get to know Joe and his team and start working with them. So first off, Joe, thanks for being on the show. Thanks for being on the channel. And how are you doing today?
Hey man, Christian, always good to see you, bro. I feel like we know each other even though
Yeah.
we've only met virtually, but you do such a good job putting yourself out there, staying dedicated to the recordings and this is my first time going on a podcast talking about Medicare Agents Hub and so I couldn't be happier to be sharing this little time with you, and hopefully it comes out okay and that those who are watching find some value hearing about what we're doing, trying to help agents succeed online.
Well, I love it. I love it. We get the honor of doing the first video with you about the service. So super cool. Let's start from the beginning, right? I feel like anytime we have a service like this, people kind of always, that agents are utilizing, agents are getting good results with. The first question, or maybe not the first, but one of the first questions that people seem to ask is like, how did this thing all get started, right? Like most of us, I'm sure that you didn't grow up thinking, I'm going to be involved in the Medicare insurance space, right? I certainly didn't. A lot of people didn't. How did it all begin, right? How did you find the Medicare space in particular to be involved in?
Absolutely. Well, that's a great question. So my background is in website design, and it kind of, that industry was really hot. Like when I was in college, like 2004 to 2008 ish, I was building up a client base of website clients, moving companies, plumbing companies, you name it, lawyers, tent rental businesses and stuff. And when we would do these web pages for people, we never would really use WordPress or these off the shelf platforms that most people build websites on. We always kind of did it the harder way, which was custom websites. And so as my business kind of evolved, I would say from maybe 2004 until maybe 2014, 15, we started to have more of a focus on local search engine optimization. And
Mm.
that kind of became my specialty is so, for example, I mentioned moving companies. I'm here in Connecticut. So a moving company came to me and they said, well, we want to come up for like moving companies in Norfolk, North Newtown, Connecticut, Norfolk, Connecticut, Hartford, Connecticut, New Haven, Connecticut, moving companies in, movers in. And so that's what I always did for my main business. And on the side, I would have other projects going on and whatnot. And my business partner is actually more into software development. So he's on the technical side of things, building out databases, interfaces, tools, automations, API integrations, and things like that. So we were approached, or I should say, I was approached about 3 or 4 years ago by a client who was doing some stuff in the Medicare space.
Mm.
And he saw what we had done for a company called Share My Aircraft, which was like a directory of pilots and these fractional share aircraft pilots that you could team up with and locate and take flight lessons and stuff. And so this Medicare guy from out of Kansas hired us to develop a lead gen website. And so we were working on that for a while. And that project ultimately fizzled out. We weren't the owners of that project, and their tech guy kind of fell off the radar, and so the project didn't really wasn't able to last. But we kind of got a glimpse into the Medicare space. And I'm sorry if I'm being long-winded,
No,
um,
no, please. It's great.
but thank you. And after doing that project, we did a another SEO project for an Medicare agency that also had a Social Security consulting arm to it. And so through those two projects, we kind of realized, gee, everybody's going after this optimization for like Medicare supplement plans, Medicare Advantage plans to answer specific questions. Does Medicare Part B cover this, or does Medicare Supplement Plan F cover this? And all these phrases are being gone after by the biggest names in the industry. You're up there you're going to be fighting against Humana for pay-per-clicks. You're going to go
Right.
broke within a week.
Yeah. You're never going to win.
So we realized Medicare agent, like forget movers in or propane company in or plumber in. How about Medicare agent in Sandy, Utah, Medicare agent in Chicago, Illinois? Are these phrases being searched? Medicare agents near me. That's a huge phrase. Medicare brokers near me, Medicare brokers in my area. So we thought, let's take a stab at a directory. There was a couple of little ones out there already, and they didn't seem like they were taking it at a very enterprise level. We thought, let's take a good swing at this thing and let's see if we can crack the code and try to rank on some searches and put some agents on there and see if they get calls. Maybe there's a business in itself just focusing on the Medicare agent rather than focusing so much on, say, the plan details or some of these more commonly searched terms.
Yeah, it's always fascinating to me how people find the space, because it is such a it's a bit of an obscure space of sorts, right? Like there's so many people that don't even know it really exists or it's even a thing, and it's by far not sexy, right? And historically it's been very behind technologically over the years, right? It's usually
Mhm.
one of the last spaces to adopt things like electronic applications took a long time for them to actually adopt, carriers and tools being available. And so, yeah, I think, my perception of it was definitely, there were certainly other directories around, when I first got involved, but it's almost like they were on autopilot, right? Like not really like innovating, they're just kind of there, like you sign up for one, maybe you'll get a lead or two a year kind of deal. And it seems like with you guys, I mean, we've already gotten more leads from our listing with you guys than we have in probably a couple of years on some of these other directories that we pay to be on. And I think it's a very creative, innovative approach, to provide a very needed service. Talk a little bit about so let's expand on that, right? So Medicare Agent Hub, it's it's an online directory for agents. Talk about how what it provides to agents, right? When someone finds the site, what does it look like? What is the intention of it?
Absolutely. Well, I think that some agents, first of all, agents come in a wide spectrum, as you know. I mean, there
Yes.
are your agents that don't even have a website, for
Yes.
example. For an agent like that, you gotta hop on and make a free listing. So at its core, it's a directory for a senior that's searching for an agent. Now, a senior doing research on Medicare is different than a senior actually searching to talk to an agent. So these are very high intent searches in the sense that they are looking to actually talk to a professional on the phone, probably, or in person that could actually help them with something right now. So they do need help. So an agent with a website may be doing all kinds of work on the search engine optimization side, trying to come up for certain phrases on search engines. So what I'll do is I'll share my screen and I'll show how a potential customer might stumble upon the directory and how that might benefit an agent. But
Yeah, absolutely.
at kind of a high level, though, it's really a great place to place an ad on the internet because you're placing a low cost ad. We have a free version, we've got a $400 a year version, and we've got a $1,000 a year version. And that's basically like either placing a free ad or a little bit of a more expensive ad. And it's to reach those consumers who are trying to search for an agent. I mean, unlike working for a carpet cleaner where each job he does, he might make, $30 in profits because he might do a $120 job. this is kind of a mid-range reward for the agent because when they sign a policy, they might make, I don't know, what is it, maybe between 200 and 1,000, depending on how much cross-selling might
Hmm.
take place. So it's not a super high ticket item, but it's something where if you get a few good leads, then you actually appreciate the lead source because it put a couple $1,000 in your pocket, you know.
Yeah, it doesn't take a lot to pay for itself and be in the green.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what we have realized that that's all that agents seem to care about is their return on investment,
Yes.
right? And so we have we realized that quickly. I mean, we had to focus in a lot on the product and getting agents listed and filling this thing out and doing the SEO for it. Um, but at the same time, we have to agents have to be able to make their return on investment. So, I mean, I'm going to search just for example, I'm going to type in Medicare agents near me because that's a big phrase, and
Hmm.
it's showing me results for Waterbury, Connecticut. That's about 20 minutes west of where I am. But you could see there's these three sponsored results. These folks are paying per click at the top. They might be paying $30, $40 per click for some of those phrases. But number one here, right below, we call these the organic search results. When you're
Hmm.
looking at a search result page, you have the paid results, you have organic results, and you also have map results, which are very important too. So we do encourage our agents, get yourself out there on a Google business listing, get some reviews going. Here, I'm already seeing some of the other, like this is another directory down here. This is a big
Hmm.
brokerage. This is a local brokerage here. But we were able to get the number one spot in Connecticut anyway, organically. And Google has decided to send that to the Connecticut page, which this is a state page on our website. So we have 50 of these on the directory. And what you're seeing here is you're going to see some of our top rated agents. Those are the ones on the higher plan that have listings in Connecticut that have a presence there. And so with each and every one of these agents, we want them to get a return on investment. I mean, Scott Quintiliano, he left us a nice review. I actually know him personally. He's here in my hometown. So he was kind of our guinea pig agent, but he had a great AEP from this, has signed more than 12 new customers from it in just the past year, and he couldn't be more pleased. We need every that to be the story with every single agent. And so when they do get an inquiry, we ask that they put a status update in on that, like whether they were able to reach the person or not, or whether it resulted in an appointment. So somebody might come in here and they might just say, "Oh, let me try this guy Keith," and they might click on him and they can read his little bio. They can press a button to have Keith call them, put in their name, their phone number, and then word Medicare just as like a little to know they're not a robot. And what's cool here is they're not even giving up their email address, so it's not like they're going to be spammed. We would never put them on any email lists anyway. Per CMS guidelines, they're acknowledging that their phone number is only being sent to Keith and that they're giving him permission to discuss Medicare Advantage, Medicare Part D, and Medicare Supplement, which is kind of neat. This is a kind of a more long form that you could use to send Keith an email over here. You could choose to call him right here, or you could visit his website. If you do visit their website, we include a what's called a UTM source, so that way he can track even
Hmm.
how many visits might have come in through his backlink. And there's actually value to search engine optimization just to have your link on other websites like that. So that could help him as well. Here it's showing the different lines of business he offers, so he can cross sell into these other insurance products. He's also got a map to his location. Not all agents choose to do that because some deal more over the phone. But, that was just one path. That's coming from a search engine typing in Medicare agents near me. I happen to be in Connecticut. The results are going to differ depending on where you type that in. You might be more specific. You might be moving to Sandy, Utah, for example. So maybe you're looking for Medicare agent Sandy, Utah.
Quite the place to move if you're a Medicare agent. Yeah, stay away. No, I'm just kidding.
So that's where Christian's agency is set up,
Yes.
and we've got some awesome agents listed up in Utah. And if you click onto Google and you search for Medicare Agent Sandy, Utah, you're ending up here on our Sandy page. This is not the Utah State page. This is a page that's designed, sorry, specifically for the city of Sandy or town of Sandy, whatever it's called. And we've got some little write-ups to help us, about Sandy, and maybe some language at the top about that local area to give us a higher likelihood of ranking. But Google sees this page, and they see all these brokers that are serving Sandy, and then they see all these agents down here that are maybe located in and around Sandy. So Google has determined that this is the top result to give users for Medicare agents in Sandy, Utah. And so that's why they're sending people to this page. And from this page, a senior might just start calling numbers. We're noticing that they might just call you, and if you don't pick up, they might just call the next one on the list and the next one, and
Until they
going
get
down the
someone,
list.
yeah. We
Mhm.
we we just had a call the other day from someone on the site. I probably like Thursday, Friday last week, something like that. So yeah, I mean, it's very unique from that perspective because a lot of these other types of services, not only are they a little archaic, not only are maybe like they're not ranking that well to drive consumer traffic, but they're a little clunky in terms of like, the person fills out a form, you get an email. There is no other way typically for them to reach out to you on a lot of these.
Mhm.
And I like the fact that you guys have so many different ways that the consumer can reach out to the agent, phone call, filling out the form, sending an email, and it makes it very user friendly to the Medicare beneficiary, prospective Medicare beneficiary that might be playing around on the site.
Absolutely. And agents are going to have a different success rate because, if you're an agent that picks up the phone every single time, I mean, that's going to already benefit you tremendously because
Yeah.
they're not going to keep calling. They're already on the phone with you. So I'm not going to call, Brian if I'm already on the phone with Andre and he's helping me out. The way these are, we didn't just put you at the top because it's your podcast. You are at the top because you're the closest one to Sandy. That's
Hmm.
so, and we have like a zip code look up here where only paid listings show up, and you could see that it's just like the page before. It's an order of distance. Um, so that's how it was built, so that the closest ones are at the top. Kind of keeps it an even playing field, if you will. And so every single one of these agents has an account that they could log into, and they could see all kinds of cool stuff in there. I mean, I think that mostly the people that watch your channel are probably Medicare agents, right? Or
I,
brokers.
I would say 99.9% probably.
Perfect. I mean, every one of these listeners should have a free listing on the site because you don't have to pay to be on there. There's no ads on your listing if you're not paying. So if I'm on the South Jordan page here and I can scroll down here like Roy Henderson, he's not a paying customer. How do I know? He doesn't have his phone number showing up here. But
Mm,
as you can see, there's no advertisements on his page. His inquiries are not being hijacked, you know what I mean, and
mhm.
sent to a million other agents. It's just straight up free. You can have a listing on here, and it won't cost you anything. You're not going to be at the top of the list. You're not going to be way up in spot number one or two or three, but you are going to have a presence, and that will help you get found. So I made a little test account over here that I could log in using my iCloud, and I used, let's see, this is actually going to get me into your account so that I could yell at you for not um,
Not,
updating any of your inquiries.
not, yes.
So you basically log you into an agent dashboard. This is up to you on how, as an agent, on how involved you want to be with managing your listing. For example, you can set a status on these. So you mentioned you got a call last week. You're right. There was a call that came in. It was a 9-minute phone call that came in on Friday. So what we would ask you or your staff to do is to come in here and set the status. And maybe you're filling in a name. This guy's name is Richard. He's got an appointment set meeting with him, next Thursday. And so this is a test. So I'm just going to save those changes, and basically we have set the status on Richard
Mm.
as an appointment set. So you could do this on all of them that came in. Here's a lead from Richmond, Virginia, because you're licensed there. You would not get a lead in Virginia if you weren't licensed there. This person was requesting a phone call from Christian Brindle on December 17th. So why do we ask agents to set the status? Well, number one, we want to make sure they're getting the lead, because so often it'll go into their junk mail, or, oh, I didn't see that, or whatever. I didn't get the text on that. I was busy. Well, we don't really want to show you at the top if you're not going to be getting the leads. So sometimes we'll use this as a tiebreaker. If we have two or three people in the same town, we'll say, you know what, put the one on the top that actually does all their homework. If we need to break a tie. So that's one section of the agent dashboard. Did you have any questions or feedback or comments or about
Yeah,
that
yeah,
so far?
absolutely. So I think I love how, like I've said, I think I've said a couple times on the video so far. I love how organized everything is. I think you guys have done a really good job at making it user friendly. And like I said, so many of these are so clunky. Um, Talk a little bit about, so you mentioned something there a second ago about, if you're licensed in a certain state, people can find you in a certain state, which is very interesting, right? Because I think so much of the platform appears to me as a user is to be kind of tailored to like local agents, but that is very interesting, right? To where if somebody is licensed in 20 states, 30 states, like us, for example, we're licensed in over 40 states, um,
Mm.
that people can find you, even though you might not be local, which can be a huge benefit to you if you carry a lot of licenses. Like Joe just showed, we got a lead from Virginia. Even though we're nowhere near Virginia, right? So can you talk about that a little bit and how that kind of factors in?
Mhm. Certainly. I mean, first of all, we have a lot of agents that are right on the border. They might live, at the right outside of Ohio, and they might not be licensed in Ohio. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So we have to draw those lines. So, if I'm looking up Westerly, Rhode Island Medicare agents, well, that's right over the border to Connecticut. So when you click here, I'm looking for my buddy Scott Quintiliano. He's located right here in Connecticut. He should technically be there, right? Because he's so close. He's probably a lot closer than, say, Amy Petrino or some of these other folks, but he's not, because he does not hold a Rhode Island license. So
Mm.
even though he's closer, maybe, he's not licensed there. So that was something we had to overcome early on, is for zip codes and for cities to not show agents that are not licensed there, but to show agents that are licensed there. So, like, France is in Norwich, Connecticut, but she's the closest to Westerly, Rhode Island, so she is being shown. But agents do get exposure in other states that they're licensed in. Like, some states don't have that many featured agents. So if I go to, like, trying to think of a city in Vermont, like Burlington, Vermont, maybe, Medicare agents. Here's one where we rank number one. I don't think we have a lot of featured advertisers up there. So these folks are not really near, like Brian Krantz is on Long Island. So he's in New York. So if I click this, it's going to say that he is serving Burlington, Vermont. So that's kind of cool, because the user was from Burlington. They were looking at a list of Burlington agents. Now they're on this guy's ad, and this guy's reach is now going way up north from where he actually is located, which is in New York, and Burlington, Vermont is way up on the Canadian border. So if I look up this zip code, I'm seeing people from very far away. Like our nearest featured agent is 120 miles away up there, and then this guy's 176 miles away in the Boston area. I'm just using this as an example, but you could see how you might show up in little pockets that you might not have otherwise shown up in. And then we got agents who are really like have succeeded a lot in their main hometown. Like a guy comes to mind, Mike Cooper. So Mike Cooper is in Phoenix, I believe. So Phoenix Medicare agents. I don't know how we rank for this phrase. Looking it up, not seeing us on page one. So would like some. That's not a great thing to show, but hey, that just shows we're not perfect. I mean, we're not coming up for every single thing. Number one, we still have a lot of work to do.
It's a growing platform.
It is, yeah. So that particular search, I'm not seeing it. But then again, if I was down in Phoenix searching for Medicare agents near me, there is a chance that we would come up for that. I just can't really demonstrate that from where I'm sitting. So I'm just gonna navigate over to show you how like a power agent or somebody that's maybe doing a lot of business through there might grow their listing. So here I am at the Arizona State page, and if I go over to Phoenix, I'm just gonna kind of probably spelling it wrong and everything. So if I click that, Mike Cooper is listed at number 2. So he's got this listing, and it's probably going to show Phoenix here. And if I refresh it, it's going to show Phoenix. That's his hometown. But when I was talking to him, he mentioned that he had a pretty good client base out in Tucson, Arizona, which is quite far away. And he was showing up at number 8 on the list for that because he was the 8th closest. So he came on and actually purchased another listing. So he said, you know what? I want to be number 1 in Tucson and I want to be number 1 in Phoenix. So in that case, he purchased a secondary featured listing. Some people that do that, either they have 2 offices, that they want to have a presence in both, or maybe they used to live in one area and then they moved to another one. So a lot of their book of business is still in another marketplace outside of where they're currently. So if it was just by distance, he'd probably be number 8 on the list. But by purchasing a second listing, he went to the top. And we probably only have maybe 15 or 20 agents that do that. And it's usually for a specific reason.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. So one question that I have that I'm sure a lot of agents might wonder when they look at a service like this is, and I know it might be a difficult question to answer, but as best as you can, the different memberships, the free, the 300, and then the 900,000 membership, what would be, you think, a reasonable expectation of give or take, right, a ballpark number of the type of lead flow an agent can expect on each listing, assuming that they do what they're supposed to do, right? Because the agent still has to. One thing that I'm sure is very important is the agent has to fill out their profile and they have to to really get the maximum results. But talk about that a little bit because my thought process is you have the $300 a year membership. If you get one client a year off of that, it's worth it.
That's right. That's
And
right.
and the free one, of course, anything you get from free is great. And the type of lead flow that you guys generate is very warm. It's people that are actively looking for what it is that you do. So it's not the same as a type of lead that you probably will have to, call 15 times and chase down till the end of until the end of time, right? It's very warm. I've always said that like referrals are the best lead you can get if you count them as a lead. The next best thing is someone that finds you online, right? And they're almost right there with each other in terms of quality. So talk about that a little bit. Talk about like what would be a reasonable expectation for each account type for an agent.
Sure. This is something we had to deal with pretty early on because we had to have some sort of target to go after. So while our prices recently increased just a nudge, we charge $0 a year for the free listing. We now charge 400 for the standard listing and 1,000 for the featured listing. So the way we looked at it is we were thinking, well, geez, as an agent, what would I be hoping to get from this? I mean, they're pretty good leads. So I think our baseline of what we try to just kind of think about is that a standard listing should really be getting about a call a month on average, which would be about 12 calls throughout the year. Now, that could really get a huge return on investment. I mean,
Absolutely.
if you're signing seven of those people, you know, and two of them are couples, now you're at nine policies. If they were, I mean, you could be making $4,000 on that 4,000. But the way
Yeah.
we figure is that the reason we kind of came up with that one call a month thing is that that would be about what, 30, $40 a call, you know, for an inbound call. If you got one per month, you know, because that would be about $35 a call. And that's pretty much right in line with I think what people are spending on kind of live transfer calls or a lead, but this is a little different. Is it really a lead if you know, because what if they already knew you, or what if they were a referral from the
Sure.
church group, you
Yeah.
know, and so not everyone is actually we find a lot of them are existing clients and referrals that this works really well for. I mean, one of our top performers is Ryan Raphael out of the St. Louis area, and he has a radio advertisement going. And so many people will go on Google after hearing the radio ad, they'll find his listing here, they'll get in touch with him. Do I deserve full attribution for that lead? Not really, but at least I was the conduit through which that they chose to get in touch with Ryan. So if you're on a featured plan, we're kind of hoping to see 2 to 3 inquiries coming in per month on average. But the results are all over the map. You know, I
Sure.
mean, I think
Yeah.
location is probably important, amount of competition in the area, and then all the other factors. You know, what's the picture look like? What kind of reviews do you have? Do you pick up the phone? But that's kind of a baseline, and then so that's kind of what we're hoping for is that you will get a lot of chances, a lot of at bats, you know, throughout that year. If you can get 36 at bats with a featured listing and 12 at bats with a standard listing, that's great. And so where we struggled was we were only measuring the web leads because that's all we knew. We didn't have the phone tracking in there. So at this point, we've installed phone tracking on about 190 listings so far. And we've only just started installing that because when you and I last spoke, we didn't have any tracking numbers on there.
Right.
So
Right. So that's great. That's great. Nearly 200 of them have been installed, and it's in
yes.
process of being available, across the board. So that's tremendous. And yeah, I think, to kind of, wrap up kind of a conclusion on this for everybody that might be watching this, I think Joe said it best early on, right? I think every agent should have a free listing. I think, even if you don't want to pay for a listing, although it's, for us in particular, I think it's going to turn out, far and above on an ROI for us in terms of what we pay for it. We've been very impressed. But even if, maybe you're skeptical or, you're just starting out, you don't have much of a budget to spend, getting a free listing, if nothing else, I think is a no-brainer and a slam dunk for you guys. But certainly I would consider some of these paid listings as well to get to see more lead flow coming in. A huge part of our agency has over the past couple of years pivoted to finding every way possible we can of getting people to call into us and come to us. It's a I did a podcast this morning with my business partner about attracting business to you, and I think this is a great way to do that. So where can people learn more? I'm sure the website is the best way, but MedicareAgentHub.com, you guys go and learn more information. But is there any other resources that they should be checking out, Joe?
You know, I mean, you could try Google searching us in your area. You know, I mean, everybody sees something different. Even if you're on your phone or on your computer, try searching Medicare agents near me. Try punching in Medicare agents, you know, Middletown, Connecticut, or wherever you are. See if you're able to find the site pretty easily. And yeah, come on to Medicare Agents Hub. You go over Agent Center here, get listed. It couldn't be easier to make your listing. You just punch in your email address and it'll help you right through the process. It only takes about 40 or 50 seconds to you just have to have your NPN and you have to have a picture of yourself on your computer. But we also have put ourselves out there on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn so far. And we just started an X profile. I don't know if we'll ever get any likes on any of our posts over there. But we're trying, and we're also getting reviews. So if you're kind of on the fence as to, you know, do I want to try out a paid listing, you may want to read some of our reviews. We've gotten a couple hundred of them lately. And some of them just really are mind blowing as to the results. One guy in here said he's almost in disbelief of the value that he got. So I like that
There
one,
you go.
Uh,
There you go.
but yeah, try us out. And just, wanted to thank you again personally, Christian, for having us on here, for being so supportive of us since we started a couple years ago. And we're so excited to be on your podcast and to be out there in your world. So thank you so
Well,
much for making yourself available for this afternoon.
Well, the pleasure's all mine, and I'm sure we'll do one again soon, guys. If you're watching this and you want to get more information on MedicareAgentsHub.com, we'll leave a link to it at the top of the description on all platforms you'll be able to see this video on. Go check it out, MedicareAgentsHub.com. And at the very least, get a free listing. Consider the paid listings. I think you guys will be really surprised with the results. We certainly have. Not surprised, that's not the right word, but we've been impressed with the results. Joe, thank you for your time, and thank you for doing this, and look forward to kind of seeing the site continue to innovate as time goes on.
It's my absolute pleasure, Christian, and we're going to be working really hard for every single agent that's listed to make sure that we get them value and they have a positive return on their investment. So thank you to every agent who's already a part of this, that's been watching and supporting us and leaving reviews and being available to help seniors. We are so appreciative of you. So thank you, Christian.
I love it. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, to everybody that's watching, do us a favor, show us some love, comment your thoughts on the video, make sure to subscribe. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or any other podcasting platforms on the audio, do us a favor, give us a 5-star review if you like the content, and we will be back with you guys next time with someone doing big time things in the space. Thanks, everybody.